Previously on Jimmy Barnes.
Liverpool.
Dead or alive?
Ravishing.
Generic.
Shit. Phil Mitchell.
What would be your fancy
Horse.
Let's kiss
Take it away.
toilet
Iron Man.
tinfoil?
Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me. Hiya! Welcome! We're finally here, the final day of my video a day challenge, and we're at part 2 of my ultimate Q&A. Part 1 was 2 days ago. Thank you so much everyone who was involved with that, and I've got a load more questions that people have sent to me over the past week or so. We need to get going with part 2. My special guest shall start with a friend of mine. I've known him for about 15 years or so now. Wow, don't I feel old? It is Nick Terrell.
Hey Jim, how are you mate? Greetings from the Wirral. I think I'll start with a couple of icebreakers if I may. What is your favourite colour? What is your favourite food? What is your favourite drink? What's your favourite country in the world? And what's the favourite holiday you've been on? These were icebreaker questions given to me in my Q&A, and I found them to be helpful. I know they're generic, but...
Thanks mate. My favourite colour is green. My favourite food is chicken madras, although I do sometimes like a lamb madras. My favourite drink, I love tea and coffee, but simply because I drink more tea over the course of a day, I will pick tea there. My favourite country is Ireland. I lived there for a year, 2012 to 2013. It was just somewhere that I felt really at home at. The first time I visited, really. That was even before I moved there. Just a beautiful part of the world. My favourite holiday. It's difficult to pick a specific single holiday. I would have to say pretty much any of the holidays that I've been to in Italy. There again, one of my favourite countries, just absolutely beautiful. I've not been to too many different areas. I think certain holidays in Italy that stand out was when I went to Sorrento for the first time 3 years ago. We stayed in a hotel that was the only hotel technically at the time at Sorrento that's on the seafront, the Hotel Admiral I think its name was. And you just get up in the morning and walk out onto your balcony and there's Mount Vesuvius right there in the distance. I mean, that is just an absolutely magical view. If that don't make you want to get out of bed in the morning, then nothing will. The little cobbled streets, the beaches, the lovely people, the amazing food. You know, I could stand here talking about how much I love Italy for hours really, but I won't because we've got this to do. But thank you for that, Nick. Cheers, mate. Right, let's move on to 3 questions from a lady I call the Queen, as in Queen Ethelberg. Still don't know why I call her that, so don't write in and ask. But here is Abigail Barry BBW with her first question.
Jimmy Barnes, a question I put to you. What is the most insulting insult you can come up with?
The most insulting insult? Ha! No doubt I've insulted and offended a lot of people over the years, but I've got to come up with something just on the spot. I'm one of those people where my mouth starts before my brain's been fully activated, so I think that really helps for insults and disses, as Leroy Screwballs would call them. But the most insulting insult I think I can come up with would be to say, you've got an arse like fucking Jason Close prolapsed old shitter. There we go. That's just what I can come up with on. Sorry, Jace, but you know how your posterior is the source of much amusement within the community. He's not going to be offended. Give me some time and I could think of something much more offensive and insulting than that, but never mind. Anyway, back to Abigail.
Okay, Jim. In one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
Imagine how shit lockdown would be without it.
Okay, last question. For moi. What would be the worst bog-off deal you've heard of? What would be the worst buy one get one free deal you've ever heard of? Okay, that's me. Done.
probably, I don't think they show them anymore, but do you remember those ads for, I think it was Safe Style UK windows? And I had an irritating Lancastrian guy with the stupid haircut. I know. Before anyone starts, I realise. I always come on going, you buy one, you get one free. I say you buy one, you get one free.
Remember the bog off offer from SafeStar UK? Well, it's back!
You know the one. You buy one, you get one free. I said you buy one, you get one free. Right now, for every single window door that you buy, I'll give you another one absolutely free.
They're fucking windows, they're going to be expensive anyway. They're not really buy one, get one free. You're still paying like thousands of pounds to get this double glazing or triple glazing or whatever the hell it is. You're just advertising it as like a buy one, get one free deal, because most people will want at least 2 windows doing at the same time anyway. Yeah, you might be a little bit cheaper than your competitors, but it's hardly half price, which is what buy one, get one free would suggest. Plus the ads are just fucking annoying with that guy. I believe he is or was the matchday announcer for Burnley Football Club. Don't ask me how I know that. Fuck knows, but I know it. Thank you for those questions, Queen. Much appreciated. Hope you're taking care. Now we move down to the West Midlands, to the walking geek himself. I know him as Rickles. You know him as Big Inzy, aka Rich. Take it away, Biggie.
All right there, Jimmy. Just a little question for you. Name for me your top 5 James Bond 007 movies.
Ooh, top 5 Bond. Marvellous question. Number 1, Casino Royale. Official version, not that weird 60s spoof. Number 2, From Russia with Love. The second Bond movie. Number 3, probably A View to a Kill. Never gets very good reviews, A View to a Kill, but I always find it just really sort of fun and daft. And it was Roger Moore's swan song as Bond as well. Number 4, I think another Roger Moore, Live and Let Die. That's a great film. Great theme as well from Paul McCartney and Wings. And number 5, I mean, I love most of them. The vast majority, I would probably pick GoldenEye. Sometimes I prefer Tomorrow Never Dies out of the Brosnans, but at the moment I'd say GoldenEye is just slightly better than Tomorrow Never Dies. But Tomorrow Never Dies would be number 6 or 7. Next question from Big Inzy.
Hi, Jimmy. What is the most spectacular place you've ever visited and would recommend to someone like me?
I mean, this is a lot like the question that I was asked by Nick regarding my favourite holiday. If you go somewhere like Italy, then there's just spectacular sights. Like I was on about earlier, being able to stay at a hotel and the first thing you see when you open your curtains and go out onto the balcony is miles of blue sea and then Mount Vesuvius over in the distance. I mean, that to me is absolutely spectacular. I've been to a lot of beautiful places: Ireland, Spain, Italy, France, America. Something about Italy. It's just an absolutely incredible country visually.
Hi, Jimmy. Do you remember back in the early 90s or mid 90s, the famous battle of the Brit bands? I'd like to know who was your favourite? Was it Oasis, Blur, or Steps?
Ah, the Britpop battles. Oh, they take me back. I was Team Oasis, really, not Team Steps. At the time, I was probably more a Pulp fan than Blur or Oasis. I always preferred Oasis to Blur, especially now I've got all of Oasis's albums. Blur, I have had a couple of their singles, and there's a couple of their albums on minidisc I would like to pick up if I ever see them going cheap enough. For me, it's always Oasis, but at the time, back in the day itself, I always said, no, Pulp are my favourite. They were the Britpop band, although I know Jarvis and the rest themselves didn't actually like being referred to as Britpop. They found it a bit contrived. Oasis, out of that whole Oasis versus Blur thing. Don't ever mention Steps again on this channel, Richard.
Hey Google, who is Jimmy Barnes?
According to Wikipedia, James Dixon Barnes is a Scottish-born Australian rock singer and songwriter. His career both as a solo performer and as the lead vocalist with the rock band Cold Chisel has made him one of the most popular and best-selling Australian music artists of all time. By the way, he's turning 64 today.
I didn't realise Jimmy Barnes was that old. Crikey.
I know, I look good on it, don't I? Thank you for those awesome questions, Rickles. I really appreciate it, my friend. We move on all the way up to the northeast, to Newcastle upon Tyne, for Jess from Absolute Unboxing with Jess and Peyton.
You wanted your question. Here it is. Is the live going to be on tomorrow?
Whoever said Geordies didn't have any manners. There hopefully will be a live show tomorrow. The live show is where we like to play Quiplash and have a little chat sometimes as well. So fingers crossed there will be one tomorrow, which will be Friday the 1st of May. If there isn't, it'll be because something else has just come up, like an emergency or something. Make sure you turn your notifications on, everyone, if you want to join in. Then you should be notified when I go live. But thank you for that, Jess, and hope the oral flatulence clears up. Okay, we move back down to Herne Bay in Kent now because a certain Mr. Leroy Screwballs, the clickbait czar himself, has got a couple of questions for me. Take it away, Frampton.
Jimmy, question 1. Is it true?
It might not be question 1. You might not put it in.
Oh, yeah.
This order.
Okay, you fill this bit in. Question
72.
Is it true that you have no toilet seat on your toilet?
Well, where else in the yard did you have a toilet seat? Christ. You should have thought about your questions.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting heckled. Jimmy Barnes, is it true that you have no toilet seat on your toilet and that you also wipe your arse with a chamois leather?
Yes, it is true I don't have a toilet seat. It was broken 4 or even 5 years ago. Yes, that is a long time to go without having a toilet seat. I didn't break it, by the way. If I had, I would have owned up to it, put it that way. Yeah, that is just something beyond my capabilities. I can't put a cabinet up. I need to get someone in to do that. And the toilet seat, well, much as I dislike the idea of sort of kneeling down with my head in a carsey trying to fit a new seat as it is, I've just kind of got used to just sitting directly on the carsey. You know, the porcelain has that sort of cold but quite pleasant effect on one's rump. Trust Leroy to ask such a stupid question, and yeah, I don't even know if addressing about wiping my arse with a chamois leather is even worth dignifying with a response. Yes, I do. No, I don't, obviously. Framo has got another question. Let's see if this one's any more sensible.
Right, it's Leroy Screwballs again. Don't forget to go to my channel, search Leroy Screwballs, or I'm sure Jim will put a link in the description. Anyway, he's not going to cut that out. Right, Jimmy, question number 2 from me, but it's number whatever in your list, so add that number in. I'm assuming, being the film buff that you are, that you have watched The Human Centipede. If not, please feel free to go and view that. What I would like to know is if you were in a real human centipede, what position would you want to be in? The front, the middle, or bringing up the rear? Thank you.
They get worse from him, don't they? Well, believe it or not, Leroy, I've never seen The Human Centipede. It sounds like a cinematic masterpiece, obviously. Would I rather be at the front, the middle, or the rear at one? It's not something I've ever thought about. I've been trying not to think about it since the day you submitted this question. I really don't know. The front, maybe? Yeah, why not? I said I'd answer anything, and Frampton has taken that to heart. He's taken that literally. I move on, and oh, bloody hell. He asked me like 10 questions in part 1 and he's back again. Glenn, come on then.
What's up, all you dudes and dudettes, all you awesome people. I am not Glenn, aka not the geeky heathen, here with a question for Jimmy Barnes. I like questions, I do. Jimmy, if you were stranded on a desert island and could only bring one record, what would it be? Stay awesome.
So to try and fool me, he's now putting on a Welsh accent. He's just wanting to take over in part 2 as well as how he did in part 1. But even though this technically seems against whatever rules there may be, I will answer you. This is a question that was quite similar to one Liam Nally asked me in part 1. He said if I could only listen to one album for the rest of my life, which would it be? And I said New Order's Technique. This one is slightly different because Beardo, aka Glenn, aka Dale, aka Heathen, aka Hello Mrs. Geek, he asked about a record. I'm going to take that literally and assume he means like an actual piece of vinyl that I own. I think from my collection at the moment, I would choose the one album to be with on a desert island, assuming I had a record player on that island as well, would be Degenerate by Picture Plane. That is an album that I bought not long ago, like within the last 4 or 5 months I think, and it is absolutely phenomenal. It is so good. He's just an amazing electro artist, is Picture Plane, and just picking that album up was one of the best things that I've done for my record collection, because it is just an absolute masterpiece in my opinion from start to finish. So thank you for that, Dale. Yeah, I'm not carrying on that joke anymore about him being Glenn. Appreciate the question, mate. The questions just keep on coming. I've got one from an amazing guy who has sent me an act of kindness recently and has also sorted me out with one of my long sought after mini grails when it comes to Funko collecting. I'm talking about my awesome friend and patron, Nicholas Land.
Alright mate, my question to you is there any icons or ad icons you'd like Funko to make?
Thank you to your youngster for the awesome impression there, love it. Great question. Ad icons, I mean, there'll be loads. I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head, really. Given that Funko an American company, I'm trying to think of ones that there's a chance they'll make. So, I think Wendy from Wendy's Fast Food. I'm amazed they haven't done Wendy yet. I would really like to see that. I know Funko have released a Burger King figure of the King, but it's not a pop, is it? It's like a Funko Force or something, and they may have done a Wacky Wobbler, I'm not entirely sure. I'm no expert by any stretch. Maybe a Burger King Funko Pop would be pretty cool. There is a lot, and that's just thinking of like a few obvious brand icons. Brilliant question. Thank you, Nick, and thank you to Nick's young lad as well. Really appreciate that, guys. Now we move across the pond, across the Atlantic, to two of my great supporters over in America. And first up is a great Patreon of mine, a brilliant friend, Crazy Stone Gamer. He's got 3 questions for me.
Hope you're doing good, but let's just go ahead and get through the questions. First one is, I know you lived in the States. I've heard you bring that up before in past videos, but I was kind of curious, like, what's one of your favorite memories or experiences that you've had when you were over here? I believe you lived over here for a little while. Maybe New York or something like that. I can't remember.
Yes, I did live in the United States briefly in 2004 to 2005. I lived in New Jersey. I lived in, I think it was Sussex County. A lot of memories. There was a great water park which was open in the summer, and it was fantastic. Splash Mountain. I don't know if it was called Splash Mountain, that sounds like that one off the In-Betweeners, but it was that sort of thing. There was also a lovely, in the, I don't know if you could call it a town, it was more sort of like a larger village really, but in the town where I lived, Ogdensburg, there's a lovely Italian-American pizzeria up the road. They did the most beautiful chicken parmigiana pizza. I remember my in-laws, who I was living with at the time, they still found it weird that I liked chicken on pizza. Still do, still say chicken is my favourite pizza topping. There you go. No one asked me that, but there's another question answered. It was just a nice little restaurant. A typical American pizzeria, really. It had sort of the mafioso style Frank Sinatra tunes playing in the background. Yeah, it was a nice slice of Americana, but obviously Italian Americana. I'm glad that I didn't stay there longer than I did, because I was rather homesick towards the end, but it was certainly different living in New Jersey. Back to Crazy Stone Gamer.
Another question is, if you never would have started collecting the wrestling pops, do you think you would have started, kept going with like the ad icon, Stranger Things, Breaking Bad, just, on and on? Do you think you would have got as hardcore into collecting pops like you have? I'm not sure.
WWE Pops, they were my first additions to my Funko collection, and then once I'd got Sting and Lex Luger and Hollywood Hogan and Razor Ramon, I think, then that was when I thought I'll maybe start getting some more lines, and I started getting some of the James Bond series. Eventually I also started getting ad icons, and then after a while that went on to Stranger Things and some Pop Rocks and so on and so on. If I'd not started collecting the WWE Pops, I probably wouldn't have got into collecting the other lines either. The WWE Pops were like the perfect gateway for Funko collecting for me. It saddens me to sort of think about it, because I think if I wasn't collecting Funkos at all, just all these friendships that I've made, I wouldn't be standing here right now answering questions from all my brilliant friends and amazing channel supporters. I did start collecting Funkos. I started with the wrestling ones. and I'm so delighted that I did.
And then the last thing is, do you have any like strange little hidden talent quirks that maybe the rest of us don't know about? I'm kind of curious about that. Something a little oddball, I know. But anyways, glad to be part of this. Hope you're doing good, and take care, buddy. All right.
Hidden talents and strange quirks. I've probably got a load that I don't even think are that weird. One that I know that I've got that I might be able to demonstrate is that I can wiggle my ears. Trouble is my hair is getting a bit long. If you'd seen Don't You Start Tarty. Don't know if you can see that. Looks a lot better when my hair's short. So there's one. Have I got any others? I can't think of any right now, but I probably have. But thank you, dude. Really appreciate those questions. And I'm going to end with a question, or I think it's two questions actually, from another great guy in America, another fantastic friend and supporter, Justin, aka Fireborn XTG 5000.
Hey Jimmy, it took a weird way to try to rig this into the bathroom, but my question for your Q&A will be, let's see, if you were to eventually collect action figures, what kind of action figures would you get? And a bonus question, I think, what's your favorite book you've ever read? I think that's good for now. I'm gonna try to get this down.
Imagine filming a video on the toilet. Who would do that? If I was collecting action figures, I think I would collect some WWE figures. There's just so many though, I would really have to be strict with myself about which ones I'd get. I like the ones that are of the older wrestlers, like the ones from the 80s and 90s. I wouldn't really want to be collecting all these newer figures of the current stars. I don't mind collecting current WWE superstars in Funko form, because there's not actually that many to choose from. I think I would go for the retro WWE or WWF. In fact, me and my brother used to collect WWF action figures, those ones that were out in the 90s. And my favourite book will have to be The Death of WCW. That's by R.J. Reynolds and Brian Alvarez, I believe, if I've got those names right. Fascinating book if you're a wrestling fan and kind of into the history of it all, like I certainly am. That's a book that I have owned in paperback form, and I have the revised and updated 10-year anniversary edition on iBooks. So that is just a really good read for any wrestling fan. And on that note, there we are. That is part 2 of the Ultimate Q&A done. I want to thank everyone who submitted questions for this part. So absolutely delighted with the response I've got. It just really goes to show what fantastic people you all are, who I talk to on a daily basis, a lot of you, who've just really supported me and who I've loved supporting with your YouTube endeavours. And thank you to everyone who was involved in part 1 as well. I love you all. You're all absolutely amazing. And of course, I want to thank everybody who has enjoyed any aspect to this video a day challenge that I set myself. It was a weird challenge. I kind of didn't realise I was even challenging myself until I looked at an Instagram post that I'd made, and I just wrote, oh, I wonder if I can upload a video every month. This was like on something like April the 5th or 6th, and I had uploaded 5 videos or 6 videos by then. Once I'd written it down and it was public, then I thought, well, I can't back out now, even though it was probably only me who noticed that I'd said it anyway. I challenged myself to do a video a day. I think that I've kept them pretty varied, although obviously I've only certain areas of interest. I've done videos that represent all those areas of interest, and maybe 1 or 2 others that I haven't really touched upon before. That is just something that I thought would be a good challenge for myself, to keep myself busy during lockdown, and obviously to provide extra entertainment for all of you who are in isolation and who are social distancing. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you once again everyone for watching, and for watching throughout this month. And don't worry, there may not be a video every single day in May, but I've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up, so please do not miss that. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn your notifications on, and you will see some amazing unboxings and reviews and whatever else in May. I'm going to go now, and I do hope that you will join me again for my next video. Cheers everyone. See ya!
Hiya, Jimmy. Just another quick question for you. I just wondered, are you free next Friday around 7:30?
Yes.